welcome to Knit, Sip, Happy. My name is Nancy. I'm joining you with a little white wine this morning from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. I'm going to talk to you about my knitting today and a little bit of spinning. I've got some finished objects, some whips, some dream knitting, a teeny tiny acquisitions section, and a little bit of design chat at the end. I would like to say there'll also be just some chit chat at the end as a separate section, but I'll probably just chit chat all the way through. How are you? It's lovely to be here again. It's lovely to hang out with you again. I've been looking forward to this for the last few days. I've been finishing things off and thinking how I can't wait to show you on the podcast. So here we go. Get all the formal stuff out of the way first. Slow down. I guess I should tell you what I'm drinking. I am having a little Sauvignon Blanc today. It is a muggy, a little bit foggy, supposed to be 25 degrees today. Don't know if we'll get there, but it didn't feel like a red day, so I'm back to my white. So you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Knit Sip Happy. I recently changed my Wheels Wife designation. I got rid of that and thought I would just try to make it easier and be Knit Sip Happy in all of the places. So all of the links will be down below. I will link my Ravelry pages, and anybody that I talk about, I will also link. If I miss anything, just let me know in the comments and I will add it in there or send you the information. Okay, so what am I wearing? And my first FO, it's the quote-unquote elephant in the room. It's lovely. My Ziva is finished. I'm going to stand up and give you a little tour, and then I'll sit down and talk details. Get my chair out of the way so I can get far enough back. So this was a work in progress last time I was here talking to you. This is Ziva by Laura Ayler. I knit this in Yarn Indulgence's Silken Linen Fingering in the colorway Zing. And I am very happy with the fit of this. It's got the fit that I like on my upper body. It's not too loose. And then that A-line. And I didn't actually add any shaping to this. The A-line is being given by this beautiful lace panel that just spreads out. It goes around to the back as well. So just on the one side with this lace panel. And the drape, and it's just lovely and light. If you're going to PEI this weekend, I will be wearing this on one of the days, whichever I think is going to be the hottest in the space. Okay, let me just sit back down again. All right, and give you some details. This is my last summer knit for 2022. Sunshine Coast has been shelved for now. It's sitting in a bag, still abandoned, and it's probably going to stay there for the winter. I'm done. I'm done with that Sunshine Coast for this year. Back to Zing. I used Yarn Indulgences. This has got really good yardage, and it might explain what I was able to do. So the yardage on this in 115 grams is 490 yards. So it is a light fingering, but the drape is just lovely, and it's got a cooling feel. It is 65% silk and 35% linen. And I had gotten 3 skeins from Deborah from Yarn Indulgences to do what I thought would be enough. So I have 1 full skein I didn't touch, and I still have this much left on my second skein. So when I weighed everything out, I used just under 1.5 skeins for this size of Ziva. So I knit it on 3.25 millimeter needles. All the details will be in the description box. I'll link my Ravelry page. And I cast on the medium 2 size, but I did the increases to the medium 3. And then I still didn't have row gauge to the underarm, so I just knit a few plain rows to get me there. And then I also had to knit some extra rows at the end at the bottom to get the length where it was. So with this being a finer gauge yarn, I didn't have row gauge, so I had to add quite a bit of length onto the pattern to get where I wanted to be. And I think I might block it a little bit differently next time too. You can't see. I don't want to back up again. It's maybe a titch short. I'll just block it a little differently next time to get that extra maybe ½ inch that I would like. But other than that, I'm thrilled. I found a couple weird things. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but there's this weird stitch right in here. I was putting my makeup on the first day I wore it, and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, what in the ever-loving hell is that? I don't know what it is, and I can't decide if I'm going to duplicate stitch it or just try and ignore it, but every time I put it on, I see it. If it was in the back, it wouldn't bother me. The other thing is when I was helical knitting the body to blend in the second skein, I got a weird hole on the right-hand side down here. Again, as my grandmother, my English granny, would have said, a blind man would be glad to see it. It's just one of those things that, you know, as the maker, you see these things, and I said that one, the side one doesn't bother me so much. This one is like, whoa. So I'm pondering duplicate stitching it, but I have a feeling that may just go wah, wah, wah. With the lightness of the yarn. I think it will show that I've done a patch, or so I haven't. Quite frankly, I forgot about it until I put it on this morning. I was putting my makeup on, and again, it's like, whoa. You probably can't see it, and it's just all, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, what else do I have to tell you? It was a lovely knit. There was lots of stockinette, but the lace pattern, I think it was a 9-stitch repeat, and Laura has you put stitch markers in at every repeat. So it's super easy just to zip along, do those lace rows, and then the stockinette for the rest. And yeah, loved it. Couldn't recommend it enough. So that is my last summer tea of 2022, finished object. Totally in love with it. I can see making another one of these for sure, just because the shaping is my jam. And I really like this neckline as well. It's rounded, but it's not too deep. I tend to like a V-neck, and I'm looking at myself. Hello. I'm looking at myself in the screen. I tend to like a V, but this kind of deeper round neck is also really nice. I like that a lot, so I can wear a little necklace in there as well. So that's that finished object. I'm going to move on. I've got a couple pairs of socks that I finished. These were both works in progress. Last time I talked to you, excuse me as I head off. Oh goodness, they're all falling off. Hold the phone. Okay, so I have a pair of Booktube Boardwalk socks in the Knit Picks. Sorry. I thought that was a good idea. I dropped it. I threw it intentionally to get it away from my hands. This is in the Knit Picks Hawthorne Reel. It's this mini little sock blank that you just pull the yarn off of. So it's got a super long color changing section. And I didn't match these socks. They're definitely sisters, not twins. I would show you that again, but I threw it on the floor and I'm not going to pick it up. Oh, it's going well this morning, isn't it? Have another sip. Okay, let's come back. Put yourself together. So Booktube Boardwalk socks, this is one of my patterns. This is a Christmas gift for a friend of mine. I did this in the 56 stitch version. So I'll take it off the blocker. I won't throw it on the floor this time. I'll throw it on the bed. Won't make as much noise. So this has got a panel across the front that kind of mimics a boardwalk with pearl rows almost lined up on my stripes here. Worked really well. And then a slip stitch panel here to mimic the handrails from one of my favorite places in Booktube. So that is another pair of Christmas socks. I had mentioned last time I have to hand knit some of my Christmas socks this year, the ones that are odd sizes. I've got something to show you later. I've got my tubes back to show you what the rest of my Christmas sock knitting is going to look like. All right. The other pair of socks that I showed you last time, is a pattern that isn't out yet. I'm going to put it here in FOs and not in the design section just because I want to show them to you. So this is a massive men's size 15 sock in my Ravishing sock pattern. I needed another 72 test done, so I did it. So this was in a caked up sock blank that was dyed by Deborah by Yarn Indulgences. This pair of socks is for her husband, Ron. No surprise, he's the only size 15 foot man that I would knit a pair of socks for. So I have a pair, and they, again, we are not matching, but you can see where we went. This was sock number 1 that started in the blues, greens, teals and was going down into the burgundy, and then I just cast on and went to the burgundy, and it's heading back into the greens. I just didn't quite get there because I chose to do shorty socks for this. So I'll talk more about my Ravishing socks later in design chat. They're not out yet, and we'll talk about that later if you decide to hang around for that. So that's FO number 3 and my final FO. So that meant I had to cast on some new things and or work on older projects. Oh, sorry. There's something on the bed that's clacking as the plastic is hitting. Okay. This is good. It forces me to slow down, collect my thoughts, and maybe go less. So, works in progress. I picked up my Heavenly Peace cowl again by Becky Normans. She got married recently. I'm not sure if she's changed her name. I think she has on Instagram, but I'm not sure if she has on Ravelry for design and stuff. Anywho, I'll link it below. So this is a provisionally cast on knitting in the round on a 16-inch circular big looped cowl. When it's done, it'll get Kitchenered. The two ends will get Kitchenered together, and it will loop around 2 or 3 times. Hang on, dropping stitches. Oh, just one. So I had been working on this last time as well. I had picked it up and had started and had done here. The stitch marker that is here is where I started last time. This is a good one. If you're... Can I show you that? When in doubt, drink wine. Words to live by. So this is where I was last time I had talked to you. I finished this big wide striping section. This is slip stitch. It's not color work, it's a mosaic style. And I've just come up, this is the last section of the slip stitches, but just a wider. So yeah. And as I've said before, I'm knitting this in 2 colors of my hand spun. I still have quite a bit of this yarn left, which is fine. I can use it for other things, but I will be happy to see this finished so I can wear it this winter. And that is in my Bumble Stitches bag I showed you last time. And as I said, Nicola is a cross stitcher now, not a knitter, and she doesn't make bags to sell anymore. And oh, I'm all tangled. I'll just zip you up later. No, I'm going to be stubborn. No, I'm going to zip you up later. The other thing that I picked up and did some work on in my gorgeous Marjorie sheep bag from Eldenwood Crafts is my, you know what's in here if you've been around. This is my Orbits. So I have done, let me see, I put a stitch marker in. So, was I showing you that side? I can't remember. Oh, this is harder than it looks like when the professional podcasters do it. This little stitch marker right here is where I was, so it looks like I did a couple of inches once the weather cooled down a little bit and I could not have sweaty hands for the yarn running through my fingers in both hands. So I am just a few repeats away, a few rows away, I think, from finishing the color work and going down into just straight stockinette. So my goal would be to get this color work finished before PEI in a week and a half. And then this would be great, just stockinette in the round knitting, so I can chat and sip and enjoy the knitting lounges and the downtime at the show. I have stitch stoppers. I don't know why I don't put them on here before I talk to you. Anyway, again, this is Sweet Skein of Mine. Being boho? I'm asking you like you know. Hang on a second. Yes, I was right. Being boho from Sweet Skein of Mine. I just started the second skein, and I have 4. When I bought this, I wasn't planning on doing a color work with it, so I will have spares of this yarn at the end as well. I had a little thought, something I do all the time with sweaters. If you are, as I look off into the distance, I'm sorry, camera and ants. Collect your thoughts. When I have interchangeable needle sets, which is great for knitting garments because you can screw and unscrew the needle tips off your different cord lengths as you need to. This is my Zings Knit Pro Zings interchangeable set that I have. I also have a High Sharp interchangeable set. And I do this a lot for garments where you're knitting in the round. So these are 2 different needle tips. This one that I'm knitting onto is smaller than this one that I'm knitting from. Does that make sense? So I'm knitting, so my gauge needle, the one that I'm knitting onto, is the 3.25 millimeter. And what I'm taking the stitches off is a 3 millimeter. Sometimes I'll go down a little bit smaller, but my set only starts at 3 millimeters. So by having a smaller needle tip on your left hand, where you're feeding your stitches, it allows them to slide onto that needle super easy and speed up the process. It also is less annoying to try and squeeze needle stitches over your gauge needle, because you only need gauge on the stitches that you're on the needle that you're knitting onto. That is what decides the size of your stitches. Does that make sense? So right hand needle is the size that you've gauge swatched. Left hand needle can be any size that you like. So size down 1 or 2 if you have an interchangeable set, and it just makes your stitches slide off that on and off that needle so much easier. So there's less pushing and pulling while you're knitting. And I've dropped stitches again. Is this going to be the episode? Dropped stitches again. Okay. This feels a little rambly and rabbity, I'm sorry. So that's whip number 2 that I worked on. I do have a whip that's been going through, spent most of my time on for the last week and a half. It's a sample, a booth sample for Deborah for Yarn Indulgences. I don't have it with me. It is an Edie done in one of her Laine de Fleur gradient sets. So it's a 3 gradient set that I'm working on. I haven't done the texture bands, but I don't have it here. So I will show you that next time. And if you're in PEI, you will see it at the booth. Deborah or I may be wearing it. We shall see. So a lot of my knitting time went to that, but I don't have it here. But I will show you that in the future. So I've had a couple new cast-ons. I'm going to start with a cowl. This was in my dream knitting last time. I had talked about making some cowls, perhaps with that crazy skein of handspun, which I caked up. So this is 150 50 grams of reds and blues and greens and some hot pink. And it's just a little not... I hated the fiber when I was spinning it up. I thought this is going to be so ugly, and I really love it. It's a little gaudy, it's a little loud. You can see here my yarn winder. It just got to capacity and things started tangling, so I had to break the yarn, take this cake off, which is quite big enough anyway, and then just wound a little mini cake up just to finish off the rest of the skein. Because it was tangling and making a mess. You can see the cake is a little messy. So I caked that up and I've combined it with some DK yarn from Deborah Yarn Indulgences that I had in my stash. This darker gray I didn't have quite enough, so I decided to use it for just cuffs, and then this is going to be the main body yarn. So let me show you what I'm doing. This is totally enabled by Tracy on the Wool and Wishes podcast. They are newer. They are a little older than I am in the podcast world. They are two sisters-in-law in the UK, ironically in the town where I spent a lot of time, where my granny and lots of my aunts and uncles lived when we were in England when I was a kid. Small world. Great podcast. Always lots of knitting because there's two of them, so you get double the fun. And there's spinning and there's knitting and there's crochet and lots of great yarn acquisitions. They've been to some fun yarn shows lately. Anywho, Tracy started knitting a cowl called the Every Which Way cowl. Actually, she showed it as a finished object. And I thought, wow, that looks like fun. Some simple color work. Maybe a great thing to do with my hand spun. Pa-pow! What do we think? Is it a good thing to do with my hand spun? I think the gray makes the crazy color a little less crazy. So I just cast this on yesterday. Actually, I lie. I cast on the ribbing on a couple days ago, and that seemed to take me 3 days. But I started the color work last night, and I couldn't put it down. So this is a DK weight, and for the most part my hand spun is DK. It kind of wafts between a worsted to a sport as well. This is one of my earlier hand spuns, so it's not overly consistent, but I think this simple pattern, without having to carry floats, is showing it off really nicely. So yeah, like I said, there's no floats. It's a super short repeat, easily memorizable. You can read your knitting. Yeah, loving it. So it's the Every Which Way cowl by Kristen Clements. I'll link it below and I'll have it on the screen here as well. It's a Christmas gift, so I had to put it in a Christmas bag. This is my Christmas Flower Fairies bag that I got from Elmwood Designs a few Christmases ago. With this fabulous tassel. It's got a little sparkle and all of the flower fairies, which I just love. So that's probably a Christmas gift. We'll see. I may not be able to part with it, but I've got lots and lots of that hand spun. I could probably knit 5 of those cowls. So now I just need to find all kinds of fun background colors and knit a whole bunch. Thanks, Tracy, for the recommendation. So the next thing that's coming back into rotation is my movie sock. I just have this in a little really squishy, not interfaced drawstring bag. I'm not sure who made it. I got this ages ago. I think I won it as a prize on a knit along. Love it because it's perfect to throw in my purse and not take up a lot of space. I was doing this on 9-inch circulars. I had to take the 9-inch circulars out to knit something else. But this, I'm just knitting a sock tube. I went to see a movie with I went to see the new Downton Abbey movie with my daughter early summer, late spring. And I didn't have a movie sock anymore because I hadn't seen a movie in the theaters in over 2 years. So I just grabbed this ball of Regia, which to me looks like licorice all sorts. And I just did a basic cast on, no ribbing, and I'm just knitting, 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 and these will be Afterthought Everything socks. When I finish the tube, I will cut in heels and toes and put in a rib at the top. So tonight, speaking of not doing something in forever, my husband and I are going to a concert at an arena. Only because of who it is. We are homebodies. We like to stay home. And even before the pandemic, we were happier being home. I think it might be his years in the Navy. We spent a lot of time apart when he was in the Navy, and we just like being home together. But Sting is in concert tonight in Moncton, New Brunswick. I don't know when and if that will ever happen again. I've always wanted to see the Police and or Sting. He's doing a lot of his older Police songs as well as his original stuff. And I heard the ads on the radio last week and bought the tickets. It's fairly spur of the moment. I checked in with my husband as if I was buying one or two because he really isn't a concert goer. But he says, well, Nance, you've always wanted to see Sting. You've always said you wanted to see Sting, so I'll go with you. What do the tickets cost? So I'm not telling you, because then you won't want to go. Because he's cheap as well. Frugal. Frugal. Anyway, so I don't know what time we're going to get there, how early we have to be there, blah, blah, blah. But I thought if I put my 9-inch circulars back into this, I can just knit a few rounds, or however many rounds on this, just to keep my hands busy while we're sitting and waiting. Because I can't, if I'm sitting, I'm knitting. If I can't, I have to. Have to. I have a nervous, picky habit on my cuticles. And so knitting stops me from doing that. So that is coming back into rotation just because we're going out tonight. The plan was to go out for dinner as well, but I've had an employee check in with me today. She's not feeling so hot, so I think I'm going to have to go into work and cover for her until just before the concert. So we'll see how the day goes. The other thing that I have started, and I'm just looking over there to think maybe I should have grabbed them, but I'll show you this first. In another Christmas bag, because I am in Sockmas. This is from Suffolk Socks. Julie at Suffolk Socks. I'm not sure if she's doing these anymore. Can't remember if it was a kit. Anyway, I picked up some things from her and I got in this Sockmas bag. I am knitting, making socks from sock tubes. Leanne Duguay, a friend of mine who lives about an hour and a half away, I will link her below and put her on the screen here. I gave her a whole bunch of commercial sock yarn, mostly manly colors because I don't like knitting man socks, to crank me some sock tubes to knit for Christmas. So I thought I would show you this and where I'm at. So this is a Regia sock yarn. So it's like iron. It can get washed and worn. So this is the waste yarn that Leanne put in. So she has cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked, and God love her. This is at 50 grams. She put in a separator for me. And then she cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked. And I have started working on a sock at the end of this huge, huge thing. So if you've never done this before, either an Afterthought Everything sock by knitting your own tube or making socks from cranked tubes, just get a little bit more yarn here. Oh, sorry. My, this is just a navy, dark navy from my stash. Pro Lana Sock and Walla. Just a basic, good, strong sock yarn. And it's yarn barfing out the center, which is why I'm all kind of fetched up here. So what I decided to do for this one, instead of doing a contrast rib, what I did was I put the needles in 15 or 20 rows down, and then just slid the needles in on the right leg of every stitch, and then ripped the yarn back. And then I just knit it back up. Did a 1x1 rib as far as the yarn would get me. I figured that was probably it. Cast it off. So now this is my cuff. And then I measured, I might have measured a little short, to be honest. I did 6.5 inches. I probably should have done 7, whatever. And I'm putting in an Afterthought heel. So I like to do the cut-in afterthought heel. I used the tutorial from Paaren Yarns way back when I first started doing this, and now I know it by heart. I've got one of my little Chapel View Crafts stitch markers on here that lets me know what's the right side and the wrong side to put the heel on. A little sponge cake, yummy. I'm not eating things like cakes and cookies right now, so I struggle with these stitch markers because they look so real. Especially at like 9:30 when I start craving something a little sweet. Problems. Okay, so I've put in an afterthought heel. What I do with my afterthought is I do 5 plain knitting rounds before I start the decreases. And you can't see a darn thing because this navy yarn is so dark. But I'm working on an afterthought heel. So I just have to Kitchener actually, this afterthought heel, and then I will measure out, figure out where the toe is going based on the shoe size of the recipient. I Googled a sock. Slow down. Pull your thoughts together. Way back when I first started knitting socks, and I was knitting for people who I didn't know their exact foot dimensions, and it's a little creepy to ask them, can I trace your foot? I found a chart online that I use that gives me dimensions. So for a size 8 ladies shoe, it gives you the dimensions of how much heel, how much foot, what do you need the dimensions before you need to put the sock in. If I can find that file, I will link it below. I may just screenshot it for you because I have it in my Google Drive. It's been there for years. I'll see if I can find it and I will link it below. But you can just Google and Google something to help you out. But then I just need to know what shoe size they are, which is super helpful. Anyway, so that is on, look, this thing is like hanging like a weight. Wondering why I can't lift the sock tube up. So I got 100 grams of sock yarn weighing me down. So this is where I'm at with that. This is probably going to be for my daughter's boyfriend. Looks like him, dark. Doesn't matter if it gets dirty. So yeah, that's what's going on for whips. Hang on one second. I'm going to show you the other tubes that Leanne cranked for me. Maybe I'll do that in acquisitions. Hold the phone. Hello from Nancy of the editing future. I forgot to show you something. I was going through my camera roll to put things into the podcast at the end and realized I forgot to show you a finished object because I've been wearing them. Excuse me. I've been wearing them. These are my Joe's Perfect Slipper Socks. Ooh, and they're dirty. I've been wearing them a ton because we're still in a little bit of air conditioning season and my husband likes to keep the air conditioning quite chilly and I need something on my feet and these little slip-on slippers are just perfect. So these are the Joe's Perfect Slipper Socks. I will link my project below. I used my hand spun for this. I showed these as a whip last time, so I had to come back on and show you them as a finished object. I will also insert a picture up above of them on my feet and not looking so hairy and dog furry, and we have the grand puppy here again. So yeah, that's that. Finished. Leftovers. Sorry. All right. I've had a little reset and moved things off my little table and moved things onto my little table to carry on chatting with you. So first thing I should probably tell you is that sock tube I just showed you. It is a Regia design line and the color is 2905. I don't have a Ravelry. I don't know how I'm going to handle Ravelry pages for these sock tubes. I guess I probably should set them up so I've got a record of how many rounds and sizes. Yeah, I just talked myself into it. I will link this on my Ravelry page. It's Design Line Random Stripe by Calf Facet. I got this from a D-stash from somebody local through Facebook Marketplace, so I'm not sure if it's even available anymore. But that's what the color is. should probably put that in the bag. Hang on. As I disappear. All right, I'm back. So the other sock tubes I had Leanne crank for me. We did some Knit Picks Felici and the colorway Countess. So it is this nice purple shades, and the bright yellow is the waist yarn that she had put on there to get started. This one didn't have a tag. I already had it caked up, but I know this is Knit Picks Static in their self-patterning yarn. I don't know what the colorway is because I probably lost the tag. I will look on their website and see if they still have it and put it on the screen. Sorry, one of my hairs. Another Regia colorway, just because this stuff is like irons. This is probably going to be a man sock for somebody. Nice blues. Another Regia. This is Arnie and Carlos line. Colorway Farb is 03658. Again, this came from a D-stash. I don't know if it's available. Just blues and greens. Could go male or female, but it'll probably go man. And then this Lang Yabol. I think I bought this one at I was going to say Good Vibrations in St. John. It tends to be where I buy my Lang, but I think I got this in Kitchener when I was visiting Kitchener, Ontario back in 2019. So this could go, I could knit, my son is very open to lots of colors. He wears kind of fun colors in his shirts, so his collared shirts that he goes to work in. So this may be for him, but I've already knit his pair. He's already got his pair up in my stash, so this may wait till next year. Did I tell you the color on this one? No, I didn't. Color, oh, exciting, 902.001. And then this one I bought from La Violette, and obviously it went without a tag, so I have no idea what this one is. But boy, is it pretty with those slimy greens to periwinkles to navies. Yeah, really like this one. I should be able to get a full pair of socks for somebody in a size 7 and then knit myself either a pair of shorties or maybe even a full pair. I never use 100 grams, especially with contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. I tend to be in the 40 to 60 gram range in the main color if I'm doing contrasting. So I should be able to get 2 pairs out of this. It's doubled up. So yeah, some easy knitting. Except, you know, heels and toes aren't always my favorite thing. I kind of thought they would be out and about knitting, but they're not really out and about knitting because cutting in a heel involves, you know, threading in the needle and then decreases and counting. So it's not an out and about knitting project for me. It's, I guess, when I need something fairly mindless at home, but I've got them. They're there. I wanted to show you my spinning progress as well. Last time I showed you a bobbin of the Corriedale from Amanda at Sweet Skein of mine. I had 2 50-gram braids in 2 different colors, and I was working on spinning the single of the second lighter color. I finished spinning that single, and I have started playing. So I thought I unhooked everything. I'm spinning this on my electric eel wheel, my EEW6. So this is an electric spinner. So this is what it is looking like plied. I just decided to do, well, I didn't just decide. I'm doing a 2-ply because I had 2 bobbins of that Corriedale that I thought would look really nice together. And they do. It's quite fine though. My singles are fine. So this is, we'll see how much it puffs up after I wash it. It's going to be a fingering for sure. It might even come up to a light fingering. So I won't know that until it's off of here and I've washed it and thwacked it and done all the other things that spinners talk about. So, but I did bring my Lazy Kate to show you the two bobbins. Hang on a second. Oh yeah, that's better. So this was the first one that I did in the slightly darker colors, and this was the one I was working on last time. I didn't show you, I just put in a picture. So it's really light, soft peaches and beiges and pinks, where this one skews a little darker in the pinks and it's grays. But I think they look really nice together. They've plied up beautifully. But it's super fine, so it's taking me a long time. It's taking me a long time to ply. All right. And last time I had mentioned in episode 4, called Cabernet Merlot, I had the red wine hot flashes. I'm trying to not have the white wine hot flashes now. I've opened the door of the room that I am in, and my husband is out in the garage, and I'm looking at the screen. Look at the camera, Nance. I don't need a wine break. I just had one. I'm trying to hold off the white wine hot flashes. I had talked about an Isabel Kramer sweater that I wanted to reknit that I ripped out. I test knit Laia. I'll put the name here, and I'll put the pattern picture here. I've lost a lot of weight since I knit that, and I knit a slightly larger size anyway because my actual size was full, but I wanted to test knit for Isabel. So I just picked a slightly larger size and cropped it, and it was great over dresses and things and tunics, but it was just too big. So I didn't have the yarn pulled out last time to show you because it was a spur of the moment chit chat. So I inserted a picture, but I thought I would pull it out and show you because this is going to be my next cast on. Once I get orbits into the body round and round, I'm going to cast on with this, which is actually this. So I'll talk about this first. This is Holst Garn Coast in the colorway Passion Flower. And I'm holding it double with Holst Garn Titicaca in Purple Rose. So these are 50-gram cakes. Holst is a Danish company. I used to get quite a bit from them when the Canadian dollar did not suck quite as badly as it does right now. I would order directly from Denmark from their sale when they had them, but it's all in American dollars and then shipping, and it just became... Anyway, I had quite a lot of it from my last order, so I'm still kind of working through it. Coast is 55% lamb's wool and... what did I say, 45% cotton. So it's a nice lightweight. It's very fine. If you look at the meterage for 50 grams, that is lace weight. These yarns, specifically the Coast and the Super Soft, which I just looked at, still have the spinning oil on them. So when you wash them, they do bloom. However, this does snap quite easily under pressure. I have a sweater that I am constantly changing sizes. I have struggled with my weight for years, but we're not going to get into that today. So I've been smaller, I've been bigger. So I had a smaller sweater that I knit in this Holst Coast, different color. And I just wanted to stretch out the hem just a smidge to get it around my arse. And the hem snapped. So I guess it didn't really fit me. I guess it wasn't meant to be. Anyway, that's in a pile that to mend. Am I going to do it? Probably not. But you never know. I digress. Laia, Isabel Kramer. This is going to happen, but I won't need these. I had ordered a sweater quantity, not knowing what I was going to do with it, and I over-ordered like I usually do. But I have cakes and cakes of this that has the Coast and the Titicaca held double. When I ripped out the sweater, you can probably see the two strands there. When I ripped out the sweater, I didn't separate the strands. I just wound it on as a two strand because I knew I was going to hold this double again. So the good news about this is I don't need to re-swatch. I've already swatched this. I know what needle size worked for this yarn and that pattern, so it'll be a super easy cast on. It's got a lovely kind of lace panel in the yoke. It's a yoked sweater. So this will be my next cast on because the yarn is already caked up. I've already swatched it. I've already knit it, and I want it in my wardrobe in this gorgeous purple. So that's dream knitting. The other dream knitting stuff that I showed you last time, I've done nothing except the cowl, because as I said, I've been sample knitting for Deborah with her Fleur de Lane line to get ready for PEI Fiber Festival. That's what it is, PEI Fiber Festival. That's happening in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, September 24th and 25th. I'm taking off work the 23rd because we're going to go in on Friday and get her booth set up. And then hopefully have a little time in the hotel lobby to knit, drink wine, and people watch. Our friend Leanne is coming with us. Heather, the Wheelhouse, was supposed to be coming with us and can't come now. I'm so sad. It was going to be all 4 of us. However, there's going to be lots of people. Manon from La Violette, Sophie from Cozy Meadow Yarns, Amanda Sweet Skein. Those are just some of the maritime people I know of. I'm getting messages from people saying that they're going to be there and I can't wait to meet people. I should probably give a warning. Like a lot of us who are knitters and enjoy solo, lonesome crafts, I'm a little bit of an awkward social person. So I'm great here. I'm pretty good I'm odd in crowds. So, and I may be feeling a little overwhelmed. So I'll try not to be too weird. Please come and say hello. I think we're all slightly the same. We're all a little awkward and a little, I'll put the wool down and grab some wine while I have this little random tangent. I think we're all, a lot of us who love doing this. Again, something that we do, it's a solo craft. It's a solo endeavor. You know, don't talk to me while I'm counting. Don't talk to me while we're very much in our own minds and in our own hands as the needles move and the yarn goes through. It's meditative and it's solo. I love getting out and talking to other knitty people, but sometimes if it's people I don't know, I can be a little awkward. So just be aware if I am a little awkward, I don't mean to be rude. And I will really try to put my outdoor face on. But please come and say hello. Long story short. Okay. So knowing that Prince Edward Island Fiber Festival is coming up, I have no yarn acquisitions. Gagetown Fiber Festival was just this past weekend on September 10th. I could not go. It was a Saturday. I work Saturdays. Wah, wah. And I knew PEI was coming up and I couldn't take another Saturday off. I couldn't take 2 Saturdays off in September. So I decided I'm saving all my love for PEI. I have no idea. I don't have a plan on patterns. I don't tend to, for the most part. I'll see where the mood takes me. There's some vendors from outside of the Maritimes coming, plus some of my favorite in the Maritimes vendors going to be there. So really looking forward to seeing lots of people, talking lots of yarn, drinking some wine and knitting with friends, old friends, and hopefully new friends. In the lobby at the Delta in Charlottetown. We're staying right in the Delta just because it's a super easy commute to the booth for setup and our days selling. We're there all day Saturday and half a day Sunday. Cannot wait. I'm not taking any classes just because I had committed to help Deborah in the booth, which is fine. I love standing around talking about yarn. So that being said, the only acquisition that I have is actually a prize that I won from Sophie, Cozy Meadow Knits. She did a summer garment mal, and I had knit a few summer garments, as you've seen. I don't know if it was my Edie. Doesn't matter. I don't know which garment it was that was the winning entry, but we had a knit night back in August. I think I was going to that the day I recorded. I think I was going to that night. It was awesome. We had a lot of fun. A lot of people showed up, which was great. We have another one coming up next Tuesday if you're in southeastern New Brunswick or eastern Nova Scotia. In the Amherst area, we are having a stitch and brew at Cavog Brewery in Dieppe. Tuesday, September 20th, starting at 6 o'clock. They have a mezzanine level up above the bar area and the brewery area, and we go and hang out there. There's tables and chairs. I think there was about 15 of us last time, and it was a super short notice, so I'm hoping for more people this time. Yeah, so if you're in the area. Anyway, I digress. At that Stitch and Brew, Sophie brought me my prize, which is this lovely drawstring bag. It's quilted and soft and squishy. It is by Sweet Comfort Designs. So it's pieced fabrics on the front and just a natural color on the back. I love the handle on the side and a good drawstring cable. I don't know if these were knotted or not. I think I'll probably knot them just so they don't fray anymore. Yeah. Oh, and here's her card. So this was donated to Sophie, who is Cozy Meadow, and she is on YouTube. Great podcast. I love Sophie. She's the one who inspired me to knit the Orbits because I saw hers and had to knit it. I got to put this bag down because now I'm just playing with it while I'm talking to you, which is why I need to knit all the time because I fidget. I'll hold my wine glass. How about that? Getting low, folks. That means I need to speak faster or pour some more wine. Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about, the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. Is anybody doing it? I'm sure everybody's doing it. I can't decide. I'm going to pause. I'm going to grab my Stephen West previous Mystery Knit Alongs and we're going to chat. So I made notes today. I don't normally make notes, but I keep finding I'm missing telling you things. And I just had a quick look at my notes while I paused there and realized I did forget to mention something. Back when I was talking about Ziva and A-line and garments, I've had quite a few questions about the hip increases and how I modify my sweaters to fit my pear shape. Lots of you out there, here's the big butts and hips, ladies. You have been asking, and lo and behold, in my inbox, I follow Talvi Knits on Instagram. I also sign up for her newsletter, and she sent a newsletter out about how she has put different styles of waist increases in her patterns, or hip increases and waist decreases. It's all about shaping. I'm going to link that blog in my description box below. It's sometimes specific to some of her patterns, but it talks about different ways of doing it, different places to place the increases and decreases to work with your shape. Really great information. The stuff I hadn't thought about, again, for positioning, but it's a great resource. So I'll link that down below. But if you still have any questions specifically about what I do, I try and put it in my Ravelry notes on my project pages. So as I talk about different projects, I will have those linked below. If any of that isn't clear, or I haven't explained it properly, please reach out. I'm always happy to chat. I love the comments. I love talking to you and hearing about what you're drinking while you're knitting along with me, or what you're knitting. So I will link that blog and article. It's quite detailed, but a great resource to favorite and tuck into your email, internet file, wherever you store this information for future garments. There. So Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. If you're on Instagram, the whole Instagram world is making up kits and talking about what they're doing and showing off their yarns. And I'm conflicted. I have knit 2 of them. I dug them out to show them to you. And I'll show them and then we'll chat, or I'll probably chat all the way through like I do. So last year, it seemed the chat around the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along was massive. It was everywhere and I got sucked in. A bunch of my knitting friends were doing it in our knit night locally. And I thought, yeah, it's been a while since I've done a Stephen West and it would be fun. I used to love mystery knit alongs because I used to knit a lot of shawls. Here's the dilemma. I love knitting shawls. I don't wear shawls. My day job is very active. I don't sit at a desk. I'm up, down, I'm lifting, I'm carrying. I move a lot. So shawls move a lot. So I've tried shawl pins, I've worn them as bandanas, but sometimes they come loose. So I've kind of switched over to cowls for something warm around my neck, and I wear my shawls around the house like an old granny around my shoulders. But again, I have so many shawls, I don't know what to do with them. And gifting shawls to people who are not knitters, muggles, they don't know what to do with them either. They don't know how to wear them, that they could wear them like a bandana, but they don't have to wear them over their shoulders like a granny. But then it's the caring, because they've all been done with indie dyed yarns, and I worry that they're just going to chuck them in the washer and they're going to get wrecked. And I love them. I love them. I love looking at them. So the Stephen West this past year, I have been treating as a work of art. I have not worn it out in public. It feels a little, it's got a circus tent vibe to it. And that's not, I'm not saying that in a rude way. Okay. So this is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along from last year. So these stripes for me look like a circus tent roof. And then it just, you know, my color choices are I'm looking through those little I-cord shrimps or whatever we called them. And then you go to the striped border, which I love. I loved doing it. I love knitting all of this except for those I-cords, because I decided to hold mohair with those. That was a big mistake. That was a faff. I hated that section, but I loved knitting the rest of it. It's massive. You know, I love it. I love the process. I like deadlines, so that worked for me, you know, having 1 week to do a clue and working at it. I love the process. I'm never going to wear this. However, look how nice it looks with my zing. That's my zing color. If I was cooler, I would throw it. Well, this is how I wore it last winter. Oh, I fetched my bracelet. I wore it over my shoulders because it's just so big. It comes down and I love it, but I don't wear it. It's been on a hanger. I probably only wore it twice last winter when I was on Christmas vacation. I brought it out and wore it, but oh my God, look how good it looks with my zing. It's too bad it's too hot to wear when I have my zing out. So this orange isn't necessarily out of my comfort range. Anyway, so this was last year's Mystery Knit Along. I loved it. I added in mohair every now and again. I had a light blue mohair that I just kind of threw in with different colors. I found this navy was a little dark on its own, so that got mohair quite a lot. But I did like it with the in the brioche section. Anyway, yeah. So this is last year's Mystery Knit Along. And then I had to go way back. 2015 was the last one I did before that. And that was the Doodler. So I had to look back at my Ravelry to see. So this is my Doodler. So it's got this big cable section across the top that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's super loose, but does give it a bit of structure across the top. It's got a seashell shape to me. So I started this, the variegated color in here is Malabrigo Singles in the color Diana. This was the jumping point for this. So from here, I pulled out that kind of golden yellow, and then the hot pink and the gray, and I can't see, oh, there, yeah. So this is my Doodler. Again, it was a super fun knit. I really enjoyed it. But I don't wear it, ever. It's on a hanger in a closet. I'm not even enjoying it. I keep saying they're a work of art. I gotta take this off. But I don't wear it. However, I'm intrigued this year. It's a 5 skein shawl, but it's only requiring 3 colors. And they're kind of tonal, semi-solid, lightly speckled. So is it going to be a little less crazy? Is it going to be a little more wearable? I am uncertain. Who's doing it? Let me know in the comments below. Are you joining in the madness that is the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. If you're on Instagram at all, it's really hard to stay away from it, especially during the process. It doesn't start until the beginning of October. So my deadline knitting will be done by then. Don't know. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on Stephen West as I ramble off in my brain. The last section is design chat. I have my garden fence went out last time we had talked about it, and I showed you, thank you so much for your support. I was able to make a donation to the True North Aid to help their fundraising efforts in remote, isolated Indigenous communities in the North Canada. I did that a few days after the deadline. I extended it a little bit because things were a little slow. Instagram is not helping our cause these days it's not showing all of the posts to a lot of people. So I'm struggling for reach a little bit, but that's okay. I donated everything from the first almost 10 days, I think, and was happy to do so. So that was garden fence. I'll put a picture up here while I was talking. We're moving on now to Ravishing Socks. I showed you these last time. These are an exclusive design for Knit City, Vancouver. So Kim and Colin from Ginger Snap Yarns very kindly asked me to design a pattern to go with their Tattooed Blossoms bag and yarn collection. I'll be showing you up here while I'm talking. So this pattern is going to be at Knit City, Vancouver in Canada, September 24th and 25th. It's the same weekend as PEI. Kim is going to have patterns there and the yarn and bag combos there. I will be able to sell this pattern in early October, so I will let you know when it goes live. I haven't decided on the fundraising quotient for this one yet. I will let you know when I get inspired. But it is a super dark tonal. This colorway is Ravish from Ginger Snap. And the collection is called Tattooed Blossoms, and it's got a little blossom design in amongst the twisted rib, which looks super complicated, but it really isn't. And there's so much fantastic stockinette. I do have a little, hang on, let me take it off the blocker. There's a little panel, a twisted stitch panel across the back leg of the sock, just to keep it from getting boring and mimic that twisted rib up in the cuff and across the front blossom section. So yeah, my testers are all done, either one or both. Kim in Alberta has the pattern. They're heading to Vancouver, and I'll let you know when I have it available in my Ravelry store. But if you're at Knit City, Vancouver, please stop by and say hello to Kim and Kevin and check out their sample and their gorgeous fabric line with this Tattooed Blossoms. So that's it for design chat. I've got something really secret kind of working in the background I can't share or talk about. I don't know where I'm going next with designs. I don't have anything on the needles yet for a new design for the fall. It might be something DK. As I said, I have a tits up Mrs. Maisel thought going through my head. I picked up some Mrs. Maisel yarn. Hang on, I'll show you. Annie Paaren. I got a Knit City, Vancouver. It's a sock set. I love Mrs. Maisel. So this is the colorway Midge. Mrs. Maisel, if you don't know, it's a show on Amazon Prime. Takes place in the 60s in and around New York about a single woman trying to be a stand-up comedian, and it is hilarious. It's foul-mouthed and lots of swearing, which I love. I'm not doing a lot here because I don't want to offend anybody, but it may slip out every now and again. But I love Mrs. Maisel. I've watched the series quite a few times. I was so disappointed the last season was super short. I'm assuming that's a COVID issue. Whatever. Yes, that's the only thing I kind of got humming. Maybe I might kick these up and start in October or November. I'm feeling the need for sweaters, and I'm feeling the pressure. I like to gift knit for people. I like to give people knit things. So that's kind of where my brain is at right now, is the gifties. because I like to get them all done. As you know, if you followed me, I like to get them done by November 30th. There is no gift knitting in December. The gift I give myself in December is totally selfish knitting. I get to knit what I want, my advents or my passion project, whatever's on a bucket list that I wanted to do. Haven't pulled that list together yet. I'll let you know when I do. And that, I think, is it. I've chatted. What have we done the last couple weeks? My husband got back from Newfoundland from his family time. Work was really busy. I had staff on vacation. We had our big birthday sale at our little craft winery. And so that's been super busy. We got out to a car show. I may put some footage or pictures at the end. I've got to see what I've got on my camera roll as far as pictures and things we've done. I said it feels like it's been busy. I don't feel like we've done a ton out and about, which is too bad because I look out the window. It's September here in the Northern Hemisphere, and in my part of Canada, fall can come early. We usually have snow on the ground by December, so I'm trying to enjoy as much time outside as I can. I'm not weeding or gardening, to be clear. My flower beds are a disaster. They're so full of weeds, but I am sitting on my outside couch in my screen room watching podcasts and knitting or listening to an audiobook. Priorities. I'm a fair weather gardener. I like to garden in June, maybe the start of July, May if the weather's good. Other than that, you need to look after yourselves. I'll water you occasionally. I will not weed you. I will not do all the things I should be doing, like deadheading. I just want to enjoy the colors. So yeah, that's me and a gardener. My daughter is gardening and growing veggies and things. I'm like, I don't know where you came from. Anyway, now I'm starting to ramble. I'm going to sign off and say thank you for joining me today. I will be back after PEI. I'm going to try and take some footage of the fair and the fiber fair and the booths and just some casual. I might even do, I don't know if I'll do some chit chats with people. I don't know. Stay tuned. There may be lots of PEI spam footage on the next episode. So we are September 13th today. So I would say I'll be back beginning of October to the second week of October. We'll see. October, Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving is the beginning of October, and I'm pondering going to Ontario to visit family, but flights and stuff I haven't decided yet. Again, I'm digressing. Shut up, finish up, say goodbye. So I will say goodbye. I will say cheers. I wish you happy knitting and a great time until I see you next time. Bye-bye.